just before we do this, because I have to recuse from the first two items anyway. But I totaled up all of the motions we have, and it's $7,000 and $7,700, something like that. And I believe that we don't have that much money left.
We have, like almost 7,000.
Yeah, well, this, if we
Well,
pass
if
all
everything
this,
passes, right?
then what do we do? Do we say, well, maybe we'll have to take something
Well,
back?
some of these are not to exceed, so I think we will.
Okay, and
approve
two,
them.
my two are not to exceed, but they're only like $25 off, so. So I'm just wondering what happens if all of them pass? And we don't have any money, and that means we have $7,000 left. Does that mean that any outstanding bills that we have for this year would have to be pushed into July?
And what we also have to do, Pat, you bring up a very good point, is that we have to make sure that all of the things that we voted on spending money on have been purchased.
He said he's holding all the money of things that have been already approved, according to Sean. What I don't know is, we do need to keep a tally as we're approving these things to know what we're doing and either adjust the motions as we go along to make sure we try to hit that number. But the motions on the docket are not predicated on the amount of money we have. They're predicated on the interest of the board members to bring these forward.
And I understand that,
Yeah.
but we can't spend money we don't have. We're not Congress.
Thank you.
So, and it's difficult without Sean being here to actually, and Armando's the secondary treasurer. And I know you've been working so hard on the election, so I don't want to put you on the spot.
Right, I'm not currently aware of the balance.
Okay, so, you know, we may have to, I don't know what we're gonna do if we go over. I'm thinking maybe not all these items are gonna pass. I know my items are like $50 over the actual cost, but, I'm just suggesting that we could be.
Well, at every opportunity, when we come up to a motion, I will ask if that person wants to adjust their amount.
All right, okay, and I am, I just wanna make sure that is known, and that we could end up, Sean could come back here next month and say, we don't have enough money to pay for all this stuff, right?
Yeah. This has never come up, and I'm not an expert on whether it will be the last item that was voted on that doesn't get approved. I don't know.
Well, that would, then, you know, then I'm gonna vote no on everything but mine, if that's the case. because-
I'm telling you, I don't know the answer.
That would not be a fair way to do it. So, you know, I realize there's paperwork that has to be done for some of these, and less paperwork for others of them.
I would assume the likelihood is we will push it over to next year. Any of the funding things we would roll over.
Well, it'd be a different board. Well, I guess this board could vote, what, before the swearing in? I don't think that's kosher.
Well, we're voting now. I mean,
No, I'm saying if we push it into next year, it'll be a different board, and so we're encumbering the next board.
I'm telling you that I do not know the answer.
We're leaving them in debt.
Okay,
We're not in debt. We'll roll over to next year's budget.
okay.
I think there's one that we're gonna have to pass on anyway. I think we half the board will get up because of the PRCS. 3 of us have to recuse
Well,
ourselves.
we'll find that out.
Okay, anyway, I just want to bring it up as a point of order, and it should be in the minutes that we thought about it, because if we,
We just don't have the answer.
okay, and I'm going to recuse myself from 11 and 12, and so when 13 comes up, somebody
We
let me know.
probably know, yeah. Unfortunately, the treasurer's not here. Okay, so Sherry, your motion.
Okay, we have to leave the room, Pat?
Yes,
This motion is regarding the police station and funding for the police station through, does it say solid in here?
No, it's C.
And how are you funding them? Through a community purpose grant?
Yes. It's Sue's motion. Or you did?
to have a quorum?
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure really quickly.
Yes, we have to get a second.
I'll second it with a quorum.
We do not have a quorum.
We do not have quorum, so the motion has to be tabled, sorry.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, come back in.
There's too many.
Item number 12 must be tabled as well. Yes.
I'm just confused why someone has to recuse themselves from a certain, can we clarify that, or is that not?
Yes, no, we can totally clarify that. The city attorney has a lot of rules, and one of them is that your involvement in an organization can call the vote into question. If at any time that vote is ever called into question, there's the possibility that it could never come before the board again. That means if you vote for something for solid and it was deemed that you had undue influence, Becky found it solid. If it was shown that she had undue influence and that she should have recused herself, she should have not been eligible to vote, then they could never quite possibly bring anything to the solid in the police department again. So we're all very, very careful. The same with schools. If you have a child that attends that school, you should recuse yourself because they will benefit from whatever we're voting on. It can be a bench, it can be in anything, but because they will benefit from it. So everyone has to call the city attorney if you are involved in any organization and find out if your involvement puts you at risk of having a bias that would be deemed ineligible to vote. So it's something we've always been very, very careful on because it's not something we'd rather try to navigate it and know that we're not hurting whatever organizations we're talking about down the line.
Right, but if it's the police station for number 11, for instance, everybody has a vested interest in the police station. Is that-
But these people either sit on boards, they work for, Pat's on here. Pat works for VST Volunteer Surveillance Group. Becky founded Solid and is a member of Solid. Armando works for, well, he doesn't work for the police department anymore. So there's just a number of reasons that they've had to recuse themselves. So they call the city attorney, they explain their position, and she said yes, she'll say yes, it's better for you to recuse yourself. We don't have 7 people, we don't have a quorum, we can't vote. Well, oh, you were. He has offered to stay for these 2 votes, which means we'll have quorum. So we are putting him back on.
Okay.
So roller coaster a little bit, sorry. So now, Sherry, we have the motion and do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So do you want to explain what the motion is?
Yeah, this motion is originally from Sue Hammerlin. She couldn't be here tonight. It's a motion to approve the application for a neighborhood purpose grant for $600 to provide coffee and supplies to Devonshire Police Station. Experience has shown that a well-planned coffee service reaps huge dividends in increased officer and station personnel morale. This is also to show appreciation for those who serve us. There will be 2 signs stating recognition to the neighborhood council. The servicing of the 2 locations will be administered by CPAP volunteers. Mr. John
Do we have
Brown.
any questions or discussions?
I have a question.
John Brown's the representative in that group.
Okay.
Hi, Dave Brown.
I'm sorry, Dave Brown.
Okay.
Dave,
Well, go ahead and ask, what's your question?
By us buying the coffee for the policemen, that's not like buying our way out of a ticket, right? Just want to go on record that we're not trying to give them coffee. We don't want to try and convince them out of certain things.
I volunteered, by the way, my compliments, I got here early enough to hear all the candidate statements and everything. You had a great board, and we had 2 winners. Very inspirational. I volunteer with Northwest West Neighborhood Council, and last year we contributed an MPG and bought them some commercial security units, 2 units. One in the station by the library, It's the Community Police Advisory Board. It's an all-volunteer group. The captain is a co-chair, and we have a civilian co-chair, and then we have committees. One of which, to your interest, is the Officer Appreciation Day Committee, which Devonshire has never had something of that nature. This is the pancake breakfast fundraiser. We're in the process of establishing the first annual Officer Appreciation Day. It'll be like lunch and dinner, time to cover all 3 shifts. And that'll be in September, so I don't have the exact date. And good opportunity for involvement there too.
Well, do we have any other questions regarding this? If not, we're going to go ahead and call for the vote. Just in time for Eric to go and try to fix our problem again.
Sherry Darrell-Hanian,
Yes.
Alex Kim,
Yes.
David Bailey,
Yes.
Cindy Lee. Yes. Eric,
Yes.
Armando,
Abstain.
Tasso. Oh, I'm sorry. Motion passes.
Okay. Next motion is by Alex Kim.
This is a motion to provide $1,000 for Solid. Solid is a nonprofit supporting LAPD Devonshire Police Department Division. And I think I made this motion a few months ago when they were having pasta dinner. I wanted to support them. And at that time, the timeline didn't allow us to just put this motion forward. So I'm bringing it back, and now they're having pancake breakfast this month, end of this month. Maybe Solid can use money for the good purpose. So I hope to get on your support.
So Alex, do we have a second? Okay, so the question is, this is for a neighborhood purpose grant. We have to know exactly what it's going to be used for. It has to say it in the neighborhood purpose grant. So do you know exactly what you want it to go for?
We went through the same thing a few months ago, same question, same thing. We submitted everything at that time. I think you look back in your file, everything was filed 3 months ago on the same thing. And so you can go back to the right.
Does it have any of the first family?
I think Sean has all the right. He has all the applications.
Do you have a copy of it? Do you know what it was for? Because Sean's not here.
So Sean is the one who was having,
Yeah, he's just not here. So.
secretary or something.
Do you have a copy of the neighborhood purpose grant? Do you remember what they? Okay, and you do not recall exactly what everything was for that they were going for?
So like maybe I can say that the Solid, they do so many things for the police officers there, and they can find the best use for the money.
Unfortunately.
If you want to name it, I'll name it, support the pancake breakfast.
Okay. We'll probably have to put specific items because you have to say,
Pancake
like pancakes, you have to actually list the items in the,
all the formality, I'll say pancake breakfast, that's it.
any other questions? I just wanted to know that unless it's specifically lined up, we may have to come back and readjust it because it's supposed to be like, dollar amounts for each.
I have a question. Are there other neighborhood councils contributing to this, this event?
I believe so.
What?
I think so.
Oh,
Check around.
and is there any outreach opportunity to have our neighborhood council
Sure.
sign or
We can
something?
tell, yeah, you can tell the town, we can pass out, whatever. I think that'll be a good outreach thing for bring people vote more.
So there's 2 things that have to be with a neighborhood purpose grant, as I understand it. One is it has to have a way that it benefits the community, which the pancake breakfast would, and certainly the police department. But there has to be a promotional opportunity for, just like we talked about having to sign up for the neighborhood council. Those are some things that are required for us to put through a neighborhood purpose grant. So how will the name of the Porters Neighborhood Council be displayed at the pancake breakfast?
I'll put a banner.
I know, you
you don't know that.
It's the
Huh?
first day of online voting, it's May 21st.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome to pop up, so it's not in our district.
it's not in our district, so it can't be a problem. Yes, sir.
It has to be spelled out in the motion.
I believe it has to be spelled out in the motion, so I'm not positive this is in a votable motion. If it's not on the in the neighborhood purpose grant, we don't have that with us.
Yeah, the grant has a very thin line, you need to be very specific, right, the line, plus the signage has to be specific wordage and all that, otherwise the grant will be denied.
Does that make sense, Alex? That it has to be very specifically outlined in the motion? You can amend the motion, but pancake breakfast,
And we'll have the PRNC exposure at the event.
how? You'll get a banner and put it up?
Maybe I can work with many of the friends and you can, they can set up the tent and make the.
It would need to be something that would have to be part of the motion. It would have to be part of the motion as to what you're going to do. Not the maybe, but
Conflict of interest with the candidate, because then the city clerk will have violation of that.
wanted to get this to vote, but it needs to be specifically outlined so that we can
You'll
get it to vote.
violate the funds. See, if you're gonna go for the fund, then you can't have the candidates benefit from the fund.
That was just one idea because
No,
I'm being forced to come up with just
It's easier if you have the candidates fund than you're going for the grant.
I think the challenge is we're not trying to be unreasonable for you. We're just telling you that's what's required.
So like, specific purpose will be supporting pancake breakfast
Yes,
events.
okay.
That's it.
And
So now you want some exposure.
and the way that
Make
they-
sure we have some banner.
so you will put up the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council banner.
Is it clear?
Okay, any more discussion? All right, anything from stakeholders? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Sherry Garahanian,
No.
Alex Kim,
Yes.
David Balin,
Abstain.
Cindy Lee. Yes. Eric Hom,
Yes.
Armando Nunez,
Abstain.
All three yeses. Motion does not pass.
Okay, can you bring the team back in? Thank you. Thank you so much for staying. Can you send the group back in? Item number 13, we'll hold until the board comes back in. It's a motion for Safe Porter Ranch. Is there anybody who needs to recuse himself? I'll have to ask him to come back in.
By the way, can I ask a question?
yes.
How do these fund requests come to the council?
The board makes motions, and I put every motion on the agenda. I don't edit which ones go on the agenda.
So it's not an entity that comes to the council for a request for a grant with an explanation why they want the money. It is a motion that comes out of the council?
Both. Sometimes groups come, but it would come through a particular group. Like if it was a police department, it would go through our police department group. If it was land use, it would go through a land use group. It would go through one of the board members because they have to make a motion. So if someone comes before the group, as a rule, it has to be put on by a board member. And so they would then be the one championing that because there is, as you can imagine, an enormous amount of paperwork that has to go along with each one of these motions that has to be submitted. Neighborhood purpose grant, or however things are funded, there is a paperwork and filing process that has to go along with each one. So that board member. Okay, we're now on item number 13. Alex, motion for Safe Porter Ranch.
There's a motion to provide $2,000 for Safe Porter Ranch to support their community outreach expenses, only to be used to cover the expense for printing and website management. And as St. Paul Ranch is a nonprofit 501c grassroots community organization. We have Matt here. Maybe you can come out and say why you need the money.
We actually need to get a second. Do you have to recuse yourself? You are recusing yourself?
Okay, then you just made an illegal motion.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay,
So are you abstaining, are you recusing yourself, are you leaving? Okay, then he cannot make the motion.
you can't make the
You
motion.
can't make the motion if you're recusing yourself.
So did you check with the city attorney whether you had to recuse yourself or not?
I have all the clearance from city attorney's office. And I forward all the emails to Paul.
To stay here, though, you have permission to stay here, correct? Okay.
So just so I understand.
He has talked to the city attorney, he talked to the city attorney and she did not feel it was a conflict.
Okay.
Okay. So we need a second for
You
the
guys
motion?
understand what that means? It means
I explained it when we got, they asked about, unless there's any other questions about it.
Is that answer put in writing somewhere, or is just a verbal over the phone?
The answer from the city attorney's
Office,
office?
it usually is over the phone because the city attorney only gives counsel to board members. So it is not usually something that they even would share with anybody. It's not something that's public. It's something that she gave to Alex. And then Alex let me know that she had told him, yes.
I had all the clearance, and my advice I got from city attorney, I recused myself after the meeting. I guess I had no.
Okay, if that was the advice that she gave you, listen, if that was the advice she gave you, then we will follow that advice to the letter. We will get a second, which was Cindy, and you can recuse yourself, and then if there's a problem, we'll come back. So go ahead and recuse yourself. You need to follow her instructions, Alex. Thank you. Second was with Cindy. Okay, so now we have discussion.
Okay.
Anything you want to share specifically?
I want to make a specific statement. In the ethics training, it says that anybody that recuses themselves can't be around for any of the discussion. That is why I left the meeting for the two things that had to do with solid and LAPD. So I believe this is, and I'll check with the city attorney tomorrow, plus or minus the value of the vote. We could be in an ethical problem if a member of St. Porter Ranch makes a motion about an issue funding St. Porter Ranch. It's a clear conflict of interest, and A, and B, in the ethics training that I've had, said that you can't even be in the meeting. And when Melvin was here, he said we couldn't even be in. That's why I left before the other two things came up. So if the motion passes, I'll
Can I just say something real fast here from the beginning?
well, let me finish because I'm on the board and I'll be
I know,
glad.
what you're saying is false information, as a matter of fact. There are no such thing as a member of St. Porter Ranch, it's strictly volunteers. There's no membership.
Okay.
So your point is,
But it's the
He has
same
been
way
a
that
spokesman
VST,
for-
VST's volunteered, all of the other
He's been a
LAPD
spokesman
residential
for your organization.
Hold on.
I'm just a volunteer.
There are board members, but only the board members that.
Right.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done. If it doesn't pass, then I'm fine anyway. But if it passes, I'll check with the city attorney.
So here's
To
what,
correct the situation, one of you makes the motion, so that this way the rest of you could act on it, rather than him reading the motion. He cannot read it, but one of you can now read it.
so your understanding is that
He cannot.
he
read
should
it.
have left before the discussion, whether
Right,
it was.
so we'll just, right now, one of you pick up the paper and read the motion, and the gentleman could proceed.
And one final
But
thing.
because he was here, does that put that at risk? It will
No,
be safer to,
You're doing it over.
You're doing it over. We press the delete button, reset,
Yeah.
start.
One final thing is, obviously Alex feels torn because he did recuse himself. He recused himself too late though. You can't make a motion and then recuse yourself. And he recused himself. Nobody said Alex leave. He recused himself. So I believe that is, that's illegal. And how many board members do we have here now?
No.
So I have one more question. How does that affect the agenda? It's on the agenda, it's noted that Alex is motioning for that. Does that need to be changed, or?
Well, first of all, if somebody else makes a motion, somebody else is gonna have to second it.
I don't think the person making the motion can be changed at this late.
I don't think so either.
I'm a member of Solid and a co-founder of BST,
All volunteer.
all volunteer. I can't vote on any police matters, and who knows them better than me.
And that is why
That's been my
both
life.
Becky and I left the
Those are
meeting.
rules. That's-
But can you make a motion?
Pardon?
Can you make a motion?
No, I can't.
No, absolutely not. That's very specific in our training, and Melvin gave us training on that
The biggest
last
risk is
year.
if we go forward, we could taint this forever. We could taint, say, Porter Ranch forever. And I don't think that's what you guys want.
And if there was something for Shepherd of the Hills, several people would have to get up and walk out. They can't make a motion like for the 4th of July.
But did Alex just say that the advice he got from the city attorney was to make the motions and then recuse himself? Did I miss that?
That feels like it.
That's inconsistent with our
Inconsistent with
training.
everything that we all know and understand.
Right.
That seems inconsistent.
I'm confused why he recused himself anyway, since he's not a member of Sabre.
You would have to ask him, that was a discussion he had with the city